The meeting of the pre-agenda for December the 5th will please come to order. In the absence of the mayor, I've been asked to entertain a motion to have someone appointed to serve as the mayor pro tem tonight, in that our mayor pro tem has been indisposed. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we ask Ms. Sledge to stand in for Mayor Williams and for Mayor Pro Tem Sechrist for tonight's meeting.
Second. Motion. Second. Mr. Muhammad, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The Board of Aldermen meets on the second Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. with a pre-agenda meeting the Thursday prior at 5:30 p.m. The primary purpose of the pre-agenda meeting is to review the agenda for the upcoming regular meeting, set the consent agenda, hold public hearings, and receive other presentations. Regular meetings focus on action items, departmental reports, and other business. Both meetings are open to the public and held in the Hilda B. Palmer Boardroom in Town Hall, located at 640 South Salisbury Avenue. A printed copy of the entire agenda packet is available in the H.B. Palmer Boardroom for public use. Please find the meeting agendas, minutes, and a link to view the meetings live or on demand at spencer.gov/town-government-and-services/alderman-meetings-and. And at this point, I will offer Ms. Sechrist, would you like to say the invocation?
I was glad to. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be together in this first week of December for our meeting. We have a big week going on with our Winterfest activities coming up this weekend, and it should be a very joyful time to celebrate Christmas and all that goes with Christmas. We are so thankful that we had such a beautiful parade, and we really appreciate all the hard work and effort of the parade committee that put that together so quickly. Keep us mindful that when we collaborate and work together, we can accomplish anything with your assistance. God bless you, Father. Amen.
Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Okay, at this time we will review the December 10th, 2024 agenda. Board members, have you had a chance to review the agenda? Is there anything that you feel should be moved to the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda. Okay, I need a volunteer for the invocation. Who would like to do the invocation for this? No volunteers? Mr. Miller will do the invocation for our meeting on Tuesday. Alderman Miller, sorry. Are there any additional comments to the minutes that have been reviewed for the November 10th or 12th? And if not, would the board like to keep those on the consent agenda?
Yes. I would.
Are there any additional comments for Resolution 24-18 prohibiting viewing of pornography on the town's network and devices? And if the board would like to keep that on the consent agenda? Did you have a chance to review those?
Yes, I don't think so. I don't think we need to put that on consent agenda.
You do think we do?
Put on the consent agenda.
We do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. What's that?
All right, thank you.
Ms. Sledge, just for the viewing public, I'm aware of this due to my daytime job, but probably most people are not aware of why we're doing this. But someone, I'm actually happy to do that but just either now or maybe Tuesday, it might be good to just explain to people why that's not because of someone was a bad actor. No one, yeah.
I think explaining it tonight and on Tuesday
Yeah,
would be
that'll be
great.
very
And I would
beneficial.
nominate you
Yeah,
if you don't
yeah.
mind.
All right.
Mr. Howell.
So earlier this year, the legislature in Raleigh passed a law requiring all municipalities, all counties, cities to adopt a resolution that addresses the viewing of pornography on essentially public property through public internet, public Wi-Fi, public network, public computers. I would imagine probably we had some type of policy at least to address this loosely. I know, again, in my job, we had a loose policy that maybe wasn't as specific as the statute. And so essentially before the rollover of the year, every local government has to pass a law, pass an ordinance that explains that can't do this, employees could be fired for doing this.
Absolutely.
And I suppose it makes good sense. It clarifies maybe some ambiguity. So that's why we're doing this. Again, no one on town dollars has been doing anything inappropriate. That's not why we're doing this. It's a matter of state law and compliance with state law. And if anyone has anything if I didn't say anything well, please fix it. That's clear.
Well said.
Thank you, sir.
Well said.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Do you feel like we need to address this on Tuesday night as well?
That's up to the board. I think it makes sense to have it considered.
For points of clarity, I believe so, just for
I
point
do
of
too.
clarity.
Okay, so we will move that item then from the consent agenda to the full agenda for Tuesday night. Okay, is there any other items that need to be removed or added to the agenda? Chair recognizes the town manager.
Thank you very much. I have passed out a cover sheet for an add-on item related to authorizing me to execute change order for our town park project. And this is the first of these change orders that has come before you in this format, because I have authority to deal with change orders that are less than $10,000 as they come along. This one is a change order to the tune of $18,000, so therefore it's here for your consideration. And but essentially, this is a non-optional bit of work that we are going to have to do to meet our plan review from the county building standards. So that basically there's a storage room that was originally going to be one large storage room in the park building there that was going to also have the fountain equipment and chemicals and that sort of thing, and the plan review process related to some national codes called out that it needed to be a separate storage room. So therefore there's some masonry work and HVAC work and electrical work that is going to be required, and the extra cost again is about $18,000. We have $50,000 in the project for contingency, and to date we have not touched it so far because of the 3 change orders we've had. We had 2 additions and 1 deduction or credit, so we've so far only had about a net change of $1,200, and we've essentially with the credit had some additional contingency created. So if this were approved, we would still have about over $30,000 left in contingency.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. Where would you like to add this to the agenda?
That's at your pleasure. It could certainly go on consent agenda if you're comfortable at this point, or if you'd like us to go over it again next week, we could add it anywhere. I would,
What's the pleasure of the board?
Since there does not seem to be a opinion, I think maybe just because we're trying to be very open with our community about specifically where a lot of the funding for the town park has come from, fundraisers and grants and donations, I think it would be important maybe to talk about this briefly in the meeting, just so we can reiterate why we're having the financial change.
Makes sense.
All right, so let's add that. Let's add that as number 10. I guess we should add the first one we talked about too, the prohibition of viewing pornography. I guess we need to add that in there too. So let's make that number 11. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Are there any recognitions? Anybody want to do recognitions?
I think we need to do something for that parade committee, but I don't know if we want to do it now, if we want to wait till January when Jonathan's here. I mean, I just think they did over and above anything that people thought they were going to do. I'd like to do like a little reception or something. Well, I don't know. I'd just like to think, see if the board can come up with something to honor that committee. And because I think most people didn't think it would happen. And I was a doubter at first, but I should have known better. But I just think we definitely need maybe to do a proclamation with Mayor Williams, or maybe something in January when we come back. I don't know, maybe we can think about it, or
Maybe January gives us a little bit more time to plan.
yeah, I don't think we can get anything together for Tuesday.
And Mayor Pro Tem, I think, I absolutely agree with you, but also we have a lot of folks here in Watts this weekend too. Just kind of put those together maybe in January, and we can kind of hit everyone's.
I remember one year, the first year we had Winterfest, they did have like a little reception up here for the volunteers and people that work with Winterfest. So maybe we could do that. I mean, I don't know if we'd have a big crowd or not, but I think it'd be nice to let people see how many people did work on making this a successful holiday here in Spencer. We might become a Hallmark holiday town.
Okay. Are there any other recognitions? We have a recognition from Chief Lanning, who will be giving us some recommendations. That will be at the meeting on Tuesday, correct?
that's correct. Yep, we've got two that Chief Lanning's in the handle, and I actually would like to add one. Your town clerk, Anna Ward, has completed a very important certification related to public sector HR professional certification. So we can talk about that on Tuesday. I'd like that to be on the list if we can.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other recognitions?
I'll probably give a shout out to the football team for getting into the playoffs and to the second round. I was hoping they'd still be playing, but they definitely had some stars on there, so I'll do that.
Okay, so,
And the coaches.
okay, all right. Okay. Okay, so then the next thing on the agenda would be our public comment, and then the consent agenda. The consent agenda has I've already done it.
Well,
Did I jump ahead of myself?
we've talked about it a little bit, but yes, so I think currently we still have the minutes on there, and that's it.
Right.
And so then there were two other items. Perhaps we're about to talk about those, but
Okay,
yeah.
so we have the minutes, and we did, I think, talk about those, and then the resolution prohibiting viewing of photography. We're going to move that off of the consent agenda and put
That's
that
correct.
down to number 11.
Yeah.
And number 10, Number 10 will be the new one that the town manager added about the change orders. Okay, and then, but prior to that, we will have the audit presentation from TD Hill to present the fiscal year 2023-2024 annual audit. And he will be here to do that. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
And then we have a budget ordinance amendment for police insurance allocation.
Yes, and that is one that we would suggest could certainly go on the consent agenda. We had a vehicle that has had a lot of issues, a lot of warranty work, and has been in a repair shop at the dealer since April. And it actually finally got back to Spencer today with a repair, but there was an insurance claim that went through that repair process. So this is simply adjusting it's a budget ordinance to recognize the insurance proceeds to offset the expense we had in making that repair. So it's a procedural item.
So it's a budget inflow?
Yes.
Okay, not an outflow, okay.
Okay, so do we want to leave it on the regular agenda or move it to consent?
I make a motion to move it to the consent agenda.
Okay. All right.
Second.
Okay. All right, and then we'll have our departmental reports. From planning, code enforcement, police, fire, public works, finance, and library. Are there any questions about any of those that we need to address tonight?
No.
Okay. All right, and then the town manager report. Do you have anything you want to say tonight?
No, nothing tonight, no.
All right, and so then we have requests for comments by the mayor and board members. Anybody have anything they wanted to say tonight?
Ms. Sledge, if I may, just one quick comment about something that kind of at the top of the agenda with the dates and times for the 2025 meetings. My son didn't have to remind me he turns 10, but he was very clear that on his birthday on Tuesday that I won't be with him. So I would not be here on Tuesday. And so I know you guys are going to talk about this. Yeah, I would just say, I know it's come up, and in talking with a resident, the resident suggested maybe we make the meetings at a standard 6 o'clock. I actually think that's a good idea. That's my personal view, just so it's consistent. Again, I'm not going to be here on Tuesday to discuss it with all about it. I'll put my thumb on the scale on that issue that we just make it a standard at 6 o'clock. These meetings, and I just say this: the meetings aren't long, so it's not like, for example, if we had some terribly long public hearing, it was 2 or 3 hours long, we might move the meeting or move the time. Thursday meetings are rarely longer than an hour. Usually quicker than an hour. So I don't know that going to 6 is going to burden anyone. Too bad. But that's my thought. It's not something we necessarily have to do. Obviously, that with the board. But I just say, since I will not be here to discuss that that's something we really look at just for consistency, and just so it doesn't look like the residents' concern is that it looked like we were hiding the ball, as it were. Obviously, I don't agree with that. That's not why we have the 5:30 time, I'm sure. But just for consistency, putting it at 6 may make more procedural and just general sense. But that's my thought, and I'll be quiet and let you guys figure it out on Tuesday.
Thanks for sharing, and happy early birthday to your son.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Should we sing happy birthday to him?
Yeah, bring him here on Tuesday, and then you can leave. We'll sing.
Actually, should we discuss those? Should we discuss those tonight, or leave those until Tuesday's meeting? The time and place for the board's regular meetings.
So
Assuming the mayor will be here on Tuesday. Not trading your importance.
No, he is.
It's all good. He's far more important.
Okay.
So
Moving
it's
on.
it's at your pleasure. If you'd like to talk about it some tonight, you're welcome to, and that way we have direction for Tuesday if there needs to be anything different. But if you'd like to wait, we can. It's certainly at your pleasure.
Say we're probably just going to end up rehashing. We may as well just save our discussion for Tuesday on that.
Was there anything that you would want to add to it if you're not going to be here on Tuesday?
No, just that, and I think I brought it up a couple of meetings ago, which maybe precipitated the conversation, but just that I had that discussion, and the viewpoint made sense. I don't agree with that there's some ulterior motive or that we're purposefully setting it where people can't make it, but the notion of having a consistent time, does make sense to me. I mean, from just the perspective of it's always at 6 or whatever. Yeah.
So the concern that citizen expressed was about the 5:30 time.
Yeah, not the
Okay.
6. The 5:30
Okay.
time. They there was a question about the broader purpose of the meeting, and I again from my day job, the reasons for this meeting allow us to get public hearings done faster, and that's not to avoid people. That's so we can move and act quicker in a way that's responsive to development and businesses and things and changes we need to make. That way they don't languish for 60, 90 days. So it's not to hide the ball, as it were. But the comment about, we have different times and, just addressing that removes any odor that we're trying to be less than above board. And again, that's my thought. It's 5:30 also makes good sense, and I think I did share it with a person I would imagine it allows staff to be here without having to leave or spend an hour of their time hanging out. So it does that. So and this is usually a more staff-oriented meeting because we have presentations and those types of things. But so there's some definitely give and take and one hand and other hand kind of balancing there, but I do think the comment about having standard meeting times does make sense.
Any other comments from the board members?
I'm okay with changing the pre-agenda time, but I do think I think it does help the staff, and I kind of want to be mindful of that too, because I know what that's like to staff for school and have meetings and whatever. So I don't know what the answer is, but I'm glad when we first got on the board, I remember our board meetings, I think, started at 7. Then the first ones, and so we changed all that. I think.
Been too long ago for me to remember.
Well, I remember the first
what
one.
it did yesterday.
One of the first ones finished at 12:01, the 2-day meeting.
Let me say something about that. I'm kind of against it. No offense, 30 minutes ain't gonna make a bit of difference as far as that goes. I'm thinking we changed that to 5:30 because of convenience for employees. And I look at Joel back there. Joel comes to work in the eastern part of this county, probably between 6:30 and 7 o'clock. He gets off at 4 o'clock, 4:30, something on that time period or something like that. He doesn't have time to go home and change. So he has to sit in his office. Now, you say, all right, 30 minutes. All right, that's the 30 minutes he can be at home. And no offense, there's nothing discussed at pre-agenda meeting that is that important that the main meeting is the regular meeting on Tuesday night. And I'd rather see people come Tuesday night than Thursday night. So that's my feeling about it. I think we did that as a courtesy to our employees, and I think we need to uphold that. That's my feelings.
I share Steve's feelings on that. If the majority of the board wants to try moving the meetings, I would recommend a trial period wherein if attendance does not improve by changing the meeting by 30 minutes, then I think it is very important to support the town staff who give a lot of time to be here, who already, I imagine, work a ton of overtime. I just think that I do understand what you're saying, but I think that this is a much broader issue than just 6 o'clock is more convenient for some people. You're never going to please everyone with a meeting time, though, but we can look out for our staff the best that we can. And I think that that's a really important thing, given especially how much work is going on in this town right now with
Yeah.
public work with every department. And so I agree with Steve 100% on this.
And perhaps if and when we have public hearings at pre-agenda meetings, which we have done at times, they could start at 6. Because that's the only time we really have pretty big crowds there. We did have a couple of really big crowds.
So if I can offer some context, I've worked in a place that had that kind of model where a meeting time was set, and that the public hearings would start not before a certain time.
Yeah.
Just in case that's a concern. And what I'll say about the schedule, the way we've had it, of course, with the two main ideas behind the pre-agenda are to make sure there are no questions about Tuesday, right? We're all pointing towards Tuesday with this meeting here for the most part. Now, every once in a while, we will ask for some action on something that's time sensitive, but that's rare. We are typically trying to put y'all in a position to make good decisions on Tuesday. And that's also why the public hearings being tonight, typically if we would have them, the idea of it gives you some time between hearing the feedback and making a decision, and it's not all in one night. So that's a little context there, but they're all public meetings. There's certainly nothing secret happening in our open meetings that we're conducting right now, and of course we make the records available on both sides of them. We live stream all these things. We are trying to certainly make this very accessible in different ways. I know of other organizations that have meetings all sorts of times, some in the morning, some in the early afternoons, and then you'll see that more frequently when the frequency of the meeting is higher than what we do. And some organizations have multiple business meetings a month, right? They might have 2 business meetings a month and other meetings on top of that. So I think our format is really all geared towards our monthly second Tuesday business meeting, and this being a time to make sure we're prepared for it.
I think I read the general statute say that unless otherwise designated, the meetings will be in the morning at 10 a.m.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure that's what I read in the general statute about this. So, all right. So here a couple of different varying opinions here. So, Mr. Rashid Mr. Muhammad just left the building. So, should we leave this until Tuesday, or to make the decision, or should we vote now to decide which way to go?
Well, I wouldn't recommend a vote tonight per se, but if there's any feedback that you need to give to staff and making sure the agenda Tuesday is in good shape for you, we could take that. But otherwise, y'all certainly can finish your discussion Tuesday and adopt your schedule for the following year. What's been put into the draft schedule, though, as it stands now, is the current model. And I will point out there's a couple of dates that have some holiday type conflicts where there's, and I don't have it pulled up here at the right page, but I will point that out just for your awareness that that's a little bit of a adjustment on the typical schedule for the November meeting, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yes.
We due to Veterans Day. So that the concept that we're proposing here for your consideration for November of next year is to move it a week following, so it's going to the third Tuesday and the Thursday prior, because the second Tuesday is Veterans Day, which is town holiday.
If I remember correctly, there was something there about the possibility of election as well.
As well, it would also be election day for the municipal election. On the not on that. It was not on that day, but just with the timing of everything, we didn't want to cram the pre-agenda too close to the municipal election. And
All right. Were there any thoughts about the appointments or reappointments of representatives to these different groups? That was another thing that was in this package. Is everybody happy about where they have to go and when they have to go?
Yep.
All right, so we'll let that ride until Tuesday as well, I guess. Okay. All right. Okay, I think I'm back down to where I was when I realized I'd left something out. So at this point, is there any need for an executive session for any reason? All right, then hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please say aye. Or raise your hands. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay. Let's see. I think all that's left is to wrap the gavel.